and thank you for joining us on Diaspora Connect, where we champion excellence by spotlighting the resilience of Nigerian citizens, breaking barriers and making a difference across the world. On the show, we explore identity, origin, and diverse journeys of Nigerians in the diaspora. I am Abosadi Adeniran. Let's get the show started with Diaspora News. On Diaspora News, the National Sports Commission has appointed Tunde Adelakun as chairman of its newly constituted Diaspora Talents Discovery Committee. The committee is tasked with identifying, developing, and integrating Nigerian sports talents in the diaspora into the country's sports development framework. According to the NSC, the initiative is aimed at strengthening grassroots and elite sports by harnessing the skills and exposure of Nigerian athletes based abroad. Officials say Tunde Adelakun's appointment reflects his experience in talent development and his long-standing engagement with Nigerian sports communities in the diaspora. The commission adds that the committee will work closely with relevant sports federations to ensure discovered talents are effectively nurtured and represented at national and international levels. It's time now to connect you to your roots. Let's check out these fun facts on our Did You Know segment. Some incredible facts there. Well, today on the program, focus is on building sustainable global platforms for African talents. And my guest is Rokpo Akin. Rokpo Akin, born Firokpo Agunbiade Akin, is a UK-based creative entrepreneur and pioneer of Afrobeats promotion in the United Kingdom. Trained as an architect at the University of Lagos, he graduated in 2000 before relocating to the UK. After nearly a decade working in the construction industry, Rokpo transitioned into live music production and promotions, channeling his creative vision into the entertainment sector. In 2004, he founded Kokoba, the first Nigerian-owned platform to promote Afrobeat artists in the UK. Kokoba has since evolved into a leading concert promotion and online ticketing platform, supporting major Afrobeat shows across Europe. In 2013, he launched White Lion Limited, a live production and promotions company, further strengthening his footprint in the global music industry. And over the years, Rokpo Akin has maintained long-standing management and promotional relationships with top Afrobeat artists, including Burna Boy and Asha, contributing significantly to the global rise of African music. At Diaspora Connect, Rokpo Akin brings valuable insights into creative entrepreneurship, diaspora-led cultural exports, and building sustainable global platforms for African talent. Rokpo Akin, welcome to Diaspora Connect.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And as we begin this conversation, Mr. Akin, I want to confirm, does your job as a live music producer and promoter mean that you can make beats and you can accompany the beats with lyrics, because I have a quick assignment for you, please.
Well, I'm a music illiterate.
Okay. So let's not go there, because I really wanted you to do a quick one, just welcome our people with some creative bit there. But it's all good, because you have you might be music illiterate, but all of the music literates work with you, and you'll find a way to position them on the global stage. And I tell you, that is purely incredible. Incredible. So, Ms. Aki, let's go from the very beginning. You studied architecture at the University of Lagos, and then you found your way somewhere to the UK afterwards. Tell us about the journey. What inspired the move?
Okay, my full name, first of all, is Fiorokpo Akin. Rokpo Akin happens to be shortened because I worked in a space where, some people found it difficult to pronounce a full name. So I worked. I had the Rokpo Akin as a name for the team at the time, and it's stuck since then. Across my journey. Well, I did architecture, yes. I worked in construction. That's a live show, by the way. I worked in construction for 9 years in a company called Lisa. And we worked in a very niche industry called facade engineering, where we were doing cladding systems across Europe, across the UK, mainly. I mean, notably, I worked on the Wembley Stadium as a facade engineer at the time. As a facade engineer project manager at the time, and worked across. Started my career in Canary Wharf as an assistant project manager. Before then, of course, architecture in Nigeria. I'd always done events in university, right from 1997, not 1997, 1996, I think, or 95. In that time, and I'd always done something known as On at the time, where the students went to gigs, and I was usually the quiet person behind the events, and did that for a good 5 years or more before I advanced to the UK. I started the events while working because I was seeking places to go as a youth here, and I just couldn't find the sort of places that I could engage or wanted to be. And I kind of created an ecosystem for myself. There are already gigs happening. There are other people doing gigs here at the time. And but it's just, for me, it was a case of I had always done this, and it was an interesting thing to start it again at the time.
All right.
That's the story of the journey.
Okay, I think it's quite amazing how you find music promoters, and they just look all quiet and gentle, unlike the stars that they get to promote, right? I think you just have that quiet ambience around you, and I think it's amazing. So share with us your experience in the UK working in the construction industry. Were there any significant challenges settling in back then, especially coming from a background in architecture and being able to continue in that line before you finally made the move to entertainment and music?
Well, of course. I mean, I wouldn't say well, at that time. I mean, I remember very well. I went straight into a very technical role. At the time, I had very limited experience of what it took to manufacture facade systems. I had very limited experience. I didn't quite understand that, even the screw that was being put into the metals was designed, and was manufactured and to precision. And I didn't understand that 1 millimeter meant a lot, in construction tolerance and errors. I didn't understand, the precision that people had to work to deliver the sort of interesting buildings you see around the world today. I didn't understand that. It took me time I had to learn that in a very tough way. And I had to work to perfection after some time. You just get used to it after some time. It seems normal, but it's not normal. You have to learn those things.
Indeed. And I'm curious really about how you made that diversification, or call it transitioning into music. I know you mentioned that you've always loved music and you've always loved event. So I'm just curious, is it that maybe when you were trying to screw, one of the knots, and then that sound just came, hey, 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 you need to move? Tell me about
Well,
it.
I wasn't screwing myself, by the way. So we had tons of people working under us at the time who are fixers and installers and designers and all of that. That you project managed. So my job was project management, by the way. But then I'd always done. I mean, I think it was a case of as a student, I wanted to earn and looked at what we did at the time to get that there are a lot of gigs that happened that students weren't allowed to get into because the club boys, if you liked at the time, had the gigs. And it was a case where we thought, look, why don't you create an environment everyone can go to and pay to get in? And there were other gigs like that happening already, and it wasn't a new thing, but it was just that for my age group at the time, we no one was really doing it. And I thought I could bring something else to the table. I remember doing the last day, the gig, that was my year two, I remember, doing the gig in a place called The Den in Isaac John. And it was the last day of exams, and we had this ladies' night gig, and it was, I remember very well that, when we put this together, not many people knew who I was, and nobody really cared, but it was, the interesting thing was understanding what the audience wanted at the time. And we had this last day of exam event where everybody came to, and it kind of started my journey into the event space. I mean, but not necessarily just music, there's any event of any sort. I mean, we would typically be the ticket seller and put the content of the talent in front of his audience. That was our job, and that's still my job today.
All right, and from Cocoa Bar, we have White Lion. Talk to us about that and all of the impact you're making and the level of acceptability that it's received from the Nigerians in diaspora, I mean, in the UK now.
Okay, the word Cocoa Bar was a word I coined up because I was looking for an African name that was linked to a bar, if you liked, at the time. It was not, I didn't quite think we would be doing live shows at this level now, you know. So we had those weekly events where everybody came out, had a good time, and we kept on growing. And I noticed the audience was growing. I typically I'll be behind the scenes and watch what is going on. That's my MO. And I saw the audience was growing, and their taste was changing from just dancing to wanting to go to comedy shows, to want to go to a live show, or just go out for an evening out and go back home. As you go, your life cycle changes with you. And it was a case where we needed to provide content, and conversion of their income to entertainment payment as they grew older. So I started looking at how to deliver that, and looked at the interest points. And we saw that, as the old we well at that time I met someone called Basket Mouse. You probably all know him. Yeah, he's Nigerian and he's one of my very good friends. And it was a case I remember walking up to him and said, look, we can do this for you. We can do a comedy show for you in the UK. Because I looked at the audience. I remember doing that event and we had just 100 people there. This was 1990. Oh no, this was 2000 and 2007. It was at the time. 2007? Yes, 2007 or 8, I think. And we as we looked at the audience, we did, the one or two shows with him. We did the band show in 2009, and we didn't have White Lion at the time. And as we started to do these shows, there was a need to have a corporate entity that was going to carry on delivering this, because it was beyond myself now. I needed to employ people to do stuff. And hence I set up the White Lion. As you can, I looked at myself as a lion in the space, White Lion, I
Aha.
called it. And it was just a name, but I thought it sounded nice. And that was the entity we set up to deal with the production and to do with everything around the ticket selling, that we did. And, to source a production, manage production, and also, work with an entire team of people from different sides of the requirements, to deliver such a gig. So
Uh,
that's all where White Lion comes from. Kokuba, the idea behind it was to be an entertainment hub where you sell entertainment content and tickets for an evening out or book tables. That's what it was at the time, but it's developed into a ticketing platform, and we've not stopped it from doing that. We just carried on, because that's what people identified it to be.
All right. So I'm glad that I'm speaking with the White Lion himself on the show today. So, today we're really focusing on how we can build sustainable platforms for talent out of Africa. And I know that you work with some of the biggest names, in entertainment out of Nigeria. How can we get those younger talent? I mean, there are talents scattered everywhere on the streets of Lagos across the country. How do we get them to be on these platforms where they can make a name for themselves and, of course, also give back?
Well, one thing I've learned and I've heard from my mentors and people that I've worked with is you can't have a shortage of hard work. You simply just can't. If you're just short of hard work, you just won't achieve anything. And the people achieving, well, of course, luck, God's blessing was on some of them, but hard work is what will bring all those things into the nice fruition you're looking for. Um, and you can't, no matter how you look at it, you have to go via the steps. Where you jump steps, you're lucky to have jump steps, but the steps you've jumped will always show itself if you don't if you don't go back, or not just necessarily go back, but identify that you skipped some steps, you need to cover up for that. Or it's like when you become an MD without learning how to manage people. So it's a lot. You have to learn the journey, and you have to literally learn from people ahead of you. Um, at times there's no one, but you just have to understand that there's something beyond where you are, and you need to, it's not going to happen by magic. That's the only thing I'd say. I mean, you have to literally learn from everything around you and use everything around you to grow. I think there's no hard and fast rule, to it. You just have to keep on. And a lot of people, I mean, you can go, a lot of people become stars before they even understand what it is, and they get exploited. So you do need to look, beyond, and be careful, learn how to move, be unafraid to learn, be unafraid to research.
All
It
right.
doesn't happen magically.
All right. So unafraid to learn and unafraid to, to study and to do all of that. But
Research.
talk to me about how younger people can avoid being exploited. I'm talking about young talents out there on the street, and they just are looking up to someone like you, and they feel, hey, he's Niger, he's got the Niger blood. Can he just sign me on? Or, stuff like that we hear about.
We don't sign people.
You don't sign people. You bring them on for shows and all of that.
Yeah, what we do is put your content before your audience. That's our job.
Okay. So how can young Nigerians jump on this train and make the best of it?
Well, like you. First of all, there are people that they're different sectors. They're different steps along the way. There are different. I mean, there are people that are in Nigeria today that work with young talent and expose them to the world. Yeah, when they've exposed them to the world, we are one of those channels where we help them facilitate what they're trying to achieve. Um, it's unfortunately, before you get to us, you would have gone through a lot of local exploitation, if you like. Before you get to us, you would have gone through a lot of support structure locally, because we are not local, and before you get to us, we would have been filtered by a lot of people who have worked locally, trying to filter what is good and what isn't. So if we were to get into that space, I don't know if we will perform well, because we don't understand the local play. However, I would expect that, I think it all comes down to being unafraid to work hard. I really really think it's that. It's not going to work any other way.
All
Unafraid
right.
to work hard and research and study what you're trying to do. It's not going to work any other way.
All right, so research, be unafraid to work hard and give it your best shot. And perhaps Wetland would spot that eventually it would be received and it would get to him. And then, you might just get that opportunity. I must sincerely appreciate you for being a part of the show today and sharing with us about what you were doing. We hope that someday, beyond having all of those out there, that perhaps, you could be back home, whether it's for a Dirty December thing, let's have a gig and let's see how it would work. I look forward to that.
We've done gigs in Lagos. We've done gigs in Lagos.
Nice, nice. So we need to look out for the next then. So Rokpo Akin is a UK-based creative entrepreneur and pioneer of Afrobeat promotion in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Okay, thank you.
Next on the show is Culture Connect.
From Lagos to London, from Abuja to Atlanta, Nigerians exporting modern music and movies. A new generation in the diaspora is finding creative ways to monetize what they know, how they live, and what they love about home. Across major cities like London, Toronto, Houston, Nigerians are blending heritage with entrepreneurship. They are teaching languages, hosting pop-up kitchens, designing Ankara streetwear, and advising global brands on authentic cultural storytelling. This cultural economy is not just about profit, it's about preserving identity and sharing Nigeria's vibrant traditions with the world. For many, these ventures began as passion projects, teaching Yoruba, Igbo, and other languages online, organizing dance classes, or sharing recipes on social media. Today, they have become thriving businesses powered by curiosity and a global appetite for authentic African experiences. From fashion runways to music festivals, Nigerian creativity is now part of the global conversation. Cultural entrepreneurs are not only earning, but they are redefining how the world sees Nigeria.
And as we wrap up the conversation today, remember that it is your turn to shine, whether it's in entertainment, in sport, in media, in health, in education, whatever space at all it is, you just go ahead and shine because you've got that unbeatable glow of a true Nigerian. That unbeatable Niger spirit lies on the inside of you, and we wish you all the best in your quest to shining. That's a show today. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Abosadi Adenio Adremi. I'll see you again very soon.